Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this video. This is With Love, Megan, Season 2, Episode 7, A Weekend Away. Okay, so the scene opens up into the rented house, and instead of the kitchen, Megan is in a bedroom and she's folding up clothes because she says she's going on a girls trip and she likes like a certain style, and it's just because she's dressed like a monarch and it's easy, it's simple. She might as well just keep it that way instead of dressing like a normal person, I guess. And so she's going on a tangent how she's meeting her friend Heather in LA and that she's flying from Texas to meet her there. They're so called old stomping grounds. Okay, so she met Heather over 20 years ago, and then she started talking about her bag that she got. She had her bag for 10 years, and they started showing photos of her with her bag. And then she started talking like, when I went on my third date with my husband in Botswana for 5 days, I brought this bag. Goddamn, Megan, again, this is the second time you talked about that goddamn date in Barcelona with your damn husband. Damn, damn, damn. Okay. Then, so she went on about her bag for another minute. And then she's like, okay, now we're going to put the heavy stuff on the bottom. And then we're going to put the light stuff. Oh, and then this is what's going to get me. I like to bring a picture of my kids on the trip. I was with my girlfriends on a girls' trip, and I put this picture by the bedside, and they're like, oh my God, Megan. And, it's easy to put it, it's easy to look on your phone, but it's another thing to have it on your bedside. So I always bring a picture of my family with me. So she puts that in there. And then she puts some other stuff. And then she's talking about, I don't want to forget anything. So I'm very strategic about what I have. Because when I was younger, I was like, throw everything in there. And then when we get to the destination, it's like, oh, I forgot. And I'm just like, Megan, you could be so organized, so thoughtful, and you will still forget. It's called the human brain. And then she's like, okay, well, time to go. And then she walks out of the frame, and then the show starts from. So the scene opens up, and Megan is in the rented kitchen, and she wants to make cookies, but not just any cookies. She wants to make thumbprint cookies for her friend Heather. And she was saying, even though our lives are busy as moms, we still make time for each other. So she starts with like a stick of butter, grammarly sugar, and then she put powdered sugar in there. Okay, so she whips open an egg and then she puts the flour in there and then she mixes it up. And then she went on a tangent about um, Heather and how Harry and Heather's husband are such good friends. Their kids are good friends with each other. Um, let's see. They just love being together and busy lives as moms. And then so she rolls it up into like little balls, and then she puts her thumb in them, thumbprint cookies. And so she's talking about how we're in our 20s, we're figuring out in our 30s and become moms, and now we're in our 40s. You know, it's just it's just so great. I'm and then yeah, she's just like, I'm in a whole new era now. Okay, so she grabbed her preservatives, her raspberry preservatives, and she put them in the middle of the cookie, and she put it in the preheated oven at 235, and now she's doing a little dance. Okay, so the scene transitions, and Megan is driving down narrow roads that look like countryside. So she must be all up in the hills, because that's what the hills look like here in California. And so she's talking about traffic and how traffic can be 2 hours. And then she's talking about Heather and how Heather is the perfect person to travel with. Heather, 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 Heather for the past 10 minutes. It's nothing but Heather. Eh, all right. Okay, so the scene goes to the pottery barn where they are, because they are about to make cups and bowls and things like that. So she's trying to make a mug, but she can't seem to make the mug. So she jokes that she's making a door stopper. So the people are helping them, and the mugs come out pretty good. And then they start making what you call it, bowls. So they make a bowl. Their bowls are so pretty. I love how Megan's plate bowl came out. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it says, so she wrote, "Good morning, my love." I like, oh, that is so cute. That is so cute. And so now, after they did all that, Megan was like, I got something to freshen up in the hotel. And Heather was like, okay. And then they left. Okay, so they got all spoofed up, and then they're on to the bar, and they're learning to be mixologists. So Raymond, the mixologist, is there teaching them. And then Megan was like, I want to learn how to make drinks for like the old people and the new people and things like that. So Raymond was like, well, why don't you do a 50-50 martini? And then Megan was like, a 50-50 martini? And he was like, yeah. She's like, well, can we help? And Heather's like, yes. And then Raymond was like, you can drink. And Megan was like, we'll be friends forever. And so she, no, not she. So he tells them The 50-50 martini is gin and vermouth, half and half. So he put orange bitters, gin, vermouth, and ice, and he stirred it up. So I guess that's how you make the drink, I guess. Lord. Okay, so Megan asks Raymond if he ever seen Suits. So basically, Raymond said before he became a mixologist, he was a lawyer in New York. And then Megan was like, have you ever seen Suits? And he said, right. And he was like, like dead serious. He's like, no, no, no. I don't watch basic cable. Oh my God. I was like, that's so embarrassing. Megan has to make it all about her. So Megan was like, I want to make a 50-50 for Micah. So she puts in the orange bitters and then she puts in the gin and the vermouth, but she like splashes it. And she goes, ah, a little overzealous. And then so she pours everything in, and then she goes, I'm just gonna cut a little bit of the lemon skin and put it on top. Here you go, Michael. But what I forgot to say was that she poured too much ice. So Raymond was like, you need to take some of that ice up out of there. So Michael was like, oh, it's so good. You know, he really likes it. So he got himself a 50-50 free martini. Okay, so they made a Heidi Lamar drink. It is so many alcohols in there. I couldn't even keep up, you guys, to even tell you what to put in a Heidi Lamar, okay? Did you guys even know there's a Heidi Lamar alcohol drink? All right. So they're sitting on the balcony of the hotel, and Megan was like, oh, it's been a long day. And then Cody, no. So she's given Heidi the gifts. And then Heidi was like, oh my God, thank you. Because she gave her more shower bombs. And she goes, this is eucalyptus, rosemary, and mint. And she was like, oh my God, this is so great. I love you. And then she goes, I made you some thumbprint cookies. I just put my thumb and my preservatives in the middle. You know, I put them in Lilith and Archie's lunchbox every day for lunch. And then they asked me if they could have some more thumbprint cookies. And I tell them that they're for Cody and Noah. That's the only way I get out of them. And you know, Cody and Noah are going to eat all of them. And Heather was like, I'm going to eat all of them. So they showed like two scenes of the episode, and then they were just talking, and the show went off like that. So they show that Megan is receiving the stuff from uh, the place in Malibu from the pottery shop, and she's like, "Oh, this is so good." And then the lady was like, "Well, there's a hole in the mug, so maybe we'll make a good candle holder." So Megan was like, "We're gonna make her a candle." So Megan makes her a candle, and then it shows Heather with her beautiful candle.